interview, it shed a whole new light and gave us a new perspective when it comes to what's going on with Carson Wentz, the Eagles coaching staff, and the locker room. All right, YouTube, Nikki Steve's back again for another one. It is January 31st, 2021, and this is the first day we had snow hit the landfall down here in Atlantic County, New Jersey. And, we only had a little bit of snow hit the ground. Then it turned to rain. But, I'm going to get right to it. So yesterday when I got off of work, I watched a video before I went to sleep on YouTube. It's uploaded by Philly Talk Podcast by Philly Mike himself. Shout out to Philly Mike and the Philly Talk Podcast. And I'll put the link to this video in the description box. He made a video responding, giving his thoughts on an interview that Malcolm Jenkins did with Rich Eisen on the Rich Eisen Show. Long story short, in this interview, Eisen asked him a couple questions about the Eagles, and Malcolm Jenkins brought up something that was really interesting. That gave us a new perspective on the whole Carson Wentz situation in the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. And I did also check out the article from Bleeding Green Nation. I'll put the link to that article as the second link in the description box. First link will be to the Philly Talk Podcast video. And let's get right to it. So Rich Eisen was talking with Malcolm Jenkins on his show. He asked him a question about the Eagles. Malcolm did talk about a little bit. He talked about Jalen Hurts coming in. He said that, he noticed there was a quarterback situation, which the Eagles were familiar with from his time on the team. And he did say that to some extent he's still a fan of the organization, even though he plays for the New Orleans Saints. Then this led to Eisen's follow-up question. So again, as a fan of the Eagles, you have a unique perspective. And one more follow-up on this. Is there an issue with Wentz in that locker room? We keep on hearing about it. You were there when there was a magazine article, pause from Eisen, and the magazine article was 2019 Philly Voice story. So continuing with Eisen's question, there was a magazine article that said there was a big problem with Wentz and players in that locker room. Is there an issue? Is there anything about Carson that you can share with us, Malcolm? And then Malcolm Jenkins, I'm going to read part of his response. The main part of his response that stuck out was, well, I think as a teammate and a friend of Carson, I think that it always starts with performance. And he hadn't performed up to, I think, the expectations that everybody's had for him. And I don't think he would say he's played up to his own expectations. But some of the other issues I felt when I was in the locker room was just that there was too much leeway and it didn't make him a better player. I don't think they did any favors by trying to protect his ego or trying to, just really protect him as a player as opposed to keeping it like every other player, keeping it performance-based. And there was more in that quote. I decided to read the main part of that. So obviously that main part of Malcolm Jenkins' response to Eisen's second Eagles question on the interview, it shed a whole new light and gave us a new perspective when it comes to what's going on with Carson Wentz, the Eagles coaching staff, and the locker room. Now, most of us, we've talked about the offensive line has been poor. Obviously, that's true. We said that, Carson himself didn't do himself any favors. That's also true. We said the coaching staff, we talked about the coaching staff's flaws with play calling and decision-making, and that is true. But now we realize from what Malcolm Jenkins said that the Eagles coaching staff in some ways was protecting Carson Wentz. They didn't tell him the criticisms that he should have heard a while ago. As a result, that led to him making a lot of the same mistakes over and over again to the point he regressed. Well, it's one of the main reasons it led to the point he regressed. Bottom line, because instead of telling Carson Wentz that, hey, he holds on to the ball too long, he needs to get rid of the ball quicker to reduce fumbles and to reduce getting sacked. Or he needs to step out of the pocket sometime and be able to move more. Instead of telling Carson Wentz those things, instead what they did was they basically protected him from being told what he needed to. And if you've ever been in a situation where you're being told a lot of things good, you're being told that you're doing a lot of things well, you're doing everything right, that's what you're being told, you're going to believe subconsciously that it's true. You're not going to really think about, okay, well, obviously everyone I'm working with is happy with it. They say things are going well, so it must be going well. And we do as people sometimes get into that habit subconsciously. To anyone, if you've ever been in a situation where you're at a job or you were writing papers for school, whoever it is that's responsible for giving you feedback keeps telling you everything's going great, you're going to think it is. Then all of a sudden, one day, you might all of a sudden be in a situation where someone tells you that it's not right and they give you something entirely different. You think about it, then you realize, you know what? I think this person's right. Then you're going to start wishing, you're going to wish that you had been told that a long time ago. So I remember I was in a situation with school when I was writing all throughout high school. I thought by the time I graduated high school, got to college, I thought my writing skills were up par. Then all of a sudden I got to college and I realized my writing skills weren't exactly what I thought they were. There was that part of me that wishes, man, I really wish someone would have went through this stuff with me sooner. And I really wish I would have been told this sooner. But at the same time, it is also our responsibility to make sure we're doing things to the best of our ability. But the point being, though, that I'm making is anywhere in life when you constantly get other people telling you you're doing well, things are going great, they're not really giving you criticism for things, we tend to let it influence the way we feel about our performance. And especially with Carson Wentz, they didn't tell him what they needed to, this coaching staff. And as a result, Carson Wentz continued to think that everything he was doing was okay. And especially last season when they went 9-7, he stayed healthy for the entire regular season. When they went on that 4-game winning streak late, he got the credit for it. So here's Carson Wentz. The Eagles are now in the playoffs. He's the starting quarterback. He's getting credit for it. The rest of the coaching staff's telling him how well he's doing. So he's thinking everything's good when it's not as good as he thinks it is. So as a result, he doesn't make the adjustments he needs to. Obviously getting rid of the ball quicker and also not forcing plays, because sometimes he has that habit of forcing plays that really aren't there, especially when it comes to overthrowing receivers, but because he never got called on it. And he was getting all that praise for that run they made to the playoffs last season. He's going to think he thought everything was good. He never bothered to make the adjustments necessary. And that's the problem with sometimes catering to people, basically. Catering, if that's the right word. They basically catered to Carson Wentz by not telling him things. Now, obviously, the Eagles are going to have a new coaching staff this season. It's going to be a new look. Now, hopefully, with the new coaches, they'll take their approach differently toward Carson Wentz, especially with head coach Nick Sirianni. Hopefully, that'll help. But yeah, obviously, this obviously brought this whole Malcolm Jenkins thing. I'm glad I got to see this because this shed a whole new light. A new light on this, or not a new light. What's the word? It gave us a new perspective of this situation and realize, okay, this Eagles coaching staff wasn't really telling their star quarterback, who they mainly rely on to carry the team, the things they needed to improve. And that's bad for both the coaching staff and for the player. And considering most of this coaching staff was let go, it goes to figure. Obviously, it indicates further that the coaches weren't doing their job to the best of their ability. And we already knew that based off the Eagles' performance. But now here comes Malcolm Jenkins with his comments about the coaching of Carson Wentz, confirms it. It confirms that the coaches really weren't doing everything they should have been doing, along with their poor 2020 season. So yeah, but obviously now we got a new coaching staff, so hopefully that'll change. And I said everything I was going to say about this. Yeah, I'm going to recap. Yes, the coaching staff obviously didn't do their job telling Carson Wentz the things he needed to hear. And Carson Wentz also didn't do his job to recognize his flaws and work on it. So that goes both on Carson Wentz and the coaching staff that was working with him for not doing everything they needed to get the player to improve. Any note, I'll leave it at that. If you enjoyed this video, obviously give this video a like. The more likes this video gets, the more YouTube pushes it out for other YouTubers to enjoy. And also subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell so you know when I upload a new video. In the comment section, feel free to comment. Give me your thoughts on Malcolm Jenkins' comments. And most of all, to everyone, have a wonderful Sunday. It's Nicky Steve signing off, and I'll see you next time.